Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's all about Whole Essentials Nutrition, and we're so excited to have our next guest joining us once again. You may remember her, Emilie Davis. It's been a while, but we've also talked so much about her signature 16-week gut restore program and her coaching membership and all that she has to do. Maybe you don't know Emilie yet. Well, good news. Today we're going to get to know her, and we're here live with her today on the Zoom and also on the podcast. How are you?
I'm so good. It's good to see you again, Jill.
Great to have you here. So she's the founder and lead nutritionist at Whole Essentials Nutrition. Now you're based out of, is it Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City. You got it.
Beautiful. And if someone wants to reach out to you, we'll tell them the website. It's wholeessentialsnutrition.com. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do specifically, Emilie.
I would love to. Yeah. And just a little note too, I am based here in Salt Lake City, but my certification allows me to work with people all over the country and even outside of the country. And I do work with many clients outside of the state of Utah. So primarily what I do as a gut health nutritionist and my signature program, Gut Restore, is I'm working with people who, number one, want a natural solution to the things that they're experiencing. And another kind of common thread of the clients that I work with in the Gut Restore program are people that have likely seen many doctors, had many different kinds of tests, and either everything is coming back negative, so the doctors might not have a lot of other options and solutions for people. And so they're kind of wondering, well, what next? Because I don't feel well. I work with those people. And the Gut Restore program specifically is working on gut health.
Okay.
Which can go in a lot of different ways because really almost like, I don't think there's anything you could give me an example of that I couldn't tie gut health to. But so it can be really broad, but the things that I like to focus on are digestive issues. So that's IBS, Crohn's,
Talked about that a
reticulitis,
lot.
SIBO, GERD, right? All the things. And if you haven't been diagnosed with any of those things, it's all the symptoms: gas, bloating, acid reflux, heartburn, loose stools, constipation, right? If you're experiencing that more than like once a week, twice a month, 3 times a year is what they say, like that's chronic.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I was going to say, what is chronic? So at least 3 times a year. Good question. Good one.
So definitely the digestive stuff, but also it's that mental health component, it's skin health, and it's autoimmune disease. So those are kind of the 4 areas that I like to focus on when I'm addressing gut health.
And what got you into this field? Would you mind telling us a little bit about your background?
Yes. Yeah, it's a really good question because I'd say initially what got me interested into nutrition and holistic nutrition, or like that holistic functional medical model versus the only one that I'd known of up until say the age of almost like 35, was just a chronic illness myself, not necessarily related to gut health, although I have as part of my story, like I have cured my own acne by addressing my gut health. So a lot of practitioners really do not think of that connection, especially with skin health. But so yeah, I came into that like holistic and functional world as a public school teacher. Initially, I was just shocked and horrified at what we were feeding our children. And I came down with Epstein-Barr virus. Probably many people that are listening have had that infection. And I needed more than what my conventional doctor was offering, which really was nothing because it's a virus. So the conventional medical world says, like there's really nothing we could do for you. So yeah, that's kind of part of my journey and how I ended up where I am. And then very quickly after leaving nutrition school, I have a master's degree from NUNM from Portland, Oregon. Shortly after that, I really just, as I was working with people, I saw and I learned how important gut health can be as I was trying to work on some of these like dietary interventions, say with like GERD or SIBO or IBS, if there was underlying infections or they had leaky gut, etc., like there's only so much I can do for the diet if I'm not also addressing these underlying conditions. So that's how it came to be. That's how Gut Restore came to be. So
Awesome. And I know we talked about the 16 signature week program, but there's still so much more than that. And we're going to get to all the details of what you do today. So again, we're excited to have you here. Emilie, if someone does want to reach out to you, we mentioned the website before. Would you mind sharing any other forms? Do you have a social media page or a phone number you want to add?
yeah, good question. Really, the best way is through my website because there's a link to schedule a free discovery call with me. If please look at my Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm present on all of those channels under my business name, Whole Essentials Nutrition. So happy to have someone reach out there too.
Perfect. And I know we've talked a lot in the past about these, the comprehensive functional testing that you do. And wasn't it that you said you've never had anyone come up with something not wrong, right? What was that? What was,
Correct.
right? You told me
Correct.
that. Okay, it's coming back to me.
Yeah.
It's been a few weeks. I was away and
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I get that question every once in a while because it's a little pricey. It's an investment in your health, and insurance in most states does not, cover or recognize this. So it's an investment. But I think I get that question from those clients who are having all of the tests done and they're all coming back negative. So they don't want to spend more money to have, like no information. But quite literally, even a test on myself, like there is never, literally never a time that that test has come back with nothing to work on. Yes. Yeah. Such good information.
oh, it is. All right. What
We
else did you
all
want to
have work
share
to
with us
do.
today about what we should be eating, what should we not be eating, or how, how else you can help? And a lot of us, though, do have to start with lifestyle changes, which, it's like the new year. Now we're into February, March. It's like getting people make
Yeah.
that New Year's resolution, right? To start eating better and do better. And then sometimes that journey kind of falls to the wayside.
It sure does. And yeah, I think this is a good thing to know about me and my program too, which is like I am all about long-term solutions and sustainability. So the Gut Restore program, I know you've been saying 16 weeks because it used to be 16 weeks, but I've actually changed it to 6 months.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's a recent change. I've tacked on a couple of months for this very reason. Number one, like gut health just takes time. Number two, like so does changing your habits and your diet. So as part of the Gut Restore program, it is so that comprehensive stool test is included and we get that information. But beyond working on what we find there, it is those dietary changes and lifestyle habits that I'm coaching people through for 6 months to really set them up, I hope, and give them some really good tools, but also time to figure out what works for them. So it's a coaching program as well. We meet every week. Um, there's a library of resources that's available to everybody in the program. So yeah, a big part of what I do and what I love is like really spending some time with people and helping them, like I say, understand and implement those long-term habits.
Beautiful. What else do we have for us? We still have a good 14 minutes left in our show. So there's so much more to talk about here with Whole
So much more.
Essentials Nutrition. There is. There's a lot that you do. And I know you've always been interested, you said, in health and wellness. You said, you got mono, right? That was back in your
Yes.
30s. And that kind of changed the
Yep.
whole trajectory of your life, right? Personally and professionally.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, mono is what it's like known, I don't know, you like colloquially. So Epstein-Barr
Yep.
is
I
the
have that
virus.
marker too. Yep.
Yeah, many people do. So yeah, I got initially as a public school teacher, and then yeah, it just lots of, we probably don't have time for this, but like so many reasons why the immune system does what it does. But for me, I didn't just get mono, I got just a really chronic version of the virus. So it kept coming back.
Hmm.
And that's why I say, like, after, year 1 and 2, my primary care physician no longer had any solutions for me. So that's how I came to natural medicine. And so with some of the time remaining, if it's okay, I was going to talk about some of my recent clients that have
Yeah.
signed on, to give people an idea of who's a good fit for me. So I'm happy to kind of jump
Would
in
love
and
to hear. Yes, yes.
hey,
We love hearing what you're doing
hey.
and how you're improving people's lives. Absolutely.
So one recent client that signed on last week as part of the Gut Restore program, I do offer just kind of like that coaching piece. So this particular client is already working with the naturopath. She has been diagnosed with SIBO. He already ran a comprehensive stool test with her, so she didn't need that piece from me. But what I think I'm really good at, and what most doctors are not very good at, and not no judgment, it's just the way that the system is created, is that there's not a lot of time for most doctors to be spending with patients. And so she really needed some hand holding with the diet, um, recipes. What am I actually eating? When am I reintroducing foods? How that ties in with what the doctor was recommending, et cetera, right? So she really just needed that coaching piece. And that's a level. I have 3 different levels of the Gut Restore program. So that's actually one level. And so she signed on for the coaching piece, shared some recipes that are appropriate for where she is, in treating SIBO. And that coaching membership is a month to month, so no commitment necessary. Stay as long as you need, want, and cancel when you want as well. So like that's one example. Another client that signed on last week, she's sort of the opposite. She's a little bit more complicated, and she's got things like mold exposure that's manifesting in digestive symptoms. She's very, very limited with what she can eat. She's got all sorts of other symptoms like brain fog and fatigue. And it's a long list, to be honest, but those are kind of the major things. And so she's going to do that stool test. We know that she's got mold exposure and she's dealing with it, has done the remediation in her home, and is ready to kind of move forward with now detoxing, supporting with nutrition. She absolutely needs and wants to expand her diet. I think she's eating like 6 foods. So those people are a good fit for me too. And I often work with people who have, for all sorts of reasons, sort of like eliminated foods, and might be down to 5 to 10 foods. And that, I mean, it's not a good place to be for anybody. They're lacking nutrition. So if anyone kind of hears themselves in that story, like, I definitely can help. And again, that's where the stool test comes in, giving me some really good information about bacterial overgrowth or leaky gut, other infections besides the mold that we might not know about, as I work to help her expand her diet.
Got it.
That's another example. I've got more if we've
Of
got
course,
time.
we love hearing it.
I'll give you an example of one more, and then you can kind of tell me how we're doing on time. One other really great example, I'm so excited she found me. She has been dealing with thyroid disease for a decade or so, working with mostly it sounded like her primary care physician, but like not on medication, not seeing results, like nothing's really changed. Thinning hair, weight gain, fatigue. Those are kind of the classic like thyroid, hypothyroid symptoms for those of you that are listening. So not really getting better. Nothing's really like feeling better. She decided to take a little bit more of like the holistic or functional route. And so she is interested in some other kinds of testing. She was just recently diagnosed with the autoimmune disease for thyroid, which is Hashimoto's. So
Mm-hmm.
the the body will do this. So she didn't have the autoimmune piece for that decade or so, but like she does now. So it's different, right? It's different considerations. And again, I'm happy that she found me because yeah, we're going to do a stool test. We're going to do a more comprehensive thyroid panel where like most endocrinologists and PCPs, like do a very small, narrow panel, and it just doesn't give us enough information. And again, like she really felt like she needed some support with her diet and lifestyle, knowing, that that all ties into her overall health and wellness. And so, yeah, she's an example of another recent client. So different, right? Like all
Yeah.
very different, which is why I thought it might be good to kind of give people an idea of like who's a good fit for me.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Everyone's a good fit for you. Anyone.
Gut
Oh,
health. Yeah, if you're interested in gut health, like I say, like the four areas that I really do tend to focus on are that digestion, autoimmune, mental health, and skin health. And I may have mentioned this at some point in our other interviews, but a lot of the clients I work with, and you might have heard this in some, is like of some of the examples I just gave you is like they're checking two or three of those boxes. Like that's kind of a common thread too, is like most people are not just dealing with eczema, for example. They're not just dealing with SIBO. Uh, there is some mental health issues there. There is some skin digestion, right? So yeah, gut health really does address all of those things.
perfect. Wow. Well, we still got 5 minutes left in the show here, and
Hey,
just want to remind
hey,
everyone how to reach out to you for that initial consult if you're interested. WholeEssentialsNutrition.com. That's WholeEssentialsNutrition.com. Wow, this is great. I love hearing this stuff. And you also offer a better digestion guide. If you go to the website, right? You can download that.
you got it. Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
is the website different?
We've been making some updates.
Yes, I
Yeah.
haven't been on in quite some time. Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we are. We've made some updates. We're continuing to make some updates. Yeah, always thinking of how really like it I can better meet the needs of my clients, and that in turn, just helps me do business better. So
Nourishing
nice
our
for you to
gut with the
notice.
healing power of food. I remember that. There's some great blog items on there too. Ooh, we talked about probiotics, right? And prebiotics before. I mean, all these different things that support digestion can help us. And just when it comes to probiotics, you just hear that term so much. And it's like, how do you know what you need and what's right for you? Because it's a little confusing. For years, a doctor told me, go on probiotics. And then I heard prebiotics. And then I'm like, well, what's the difference? I don't understand. There's so many.
Right. There are, and it's funny. I had this conversation with a client, maybe it was last week or the week before. So again, back to that comprehensive stool test, it's going to give me a really good idea of the good, quote
Okay.
unquote, good bacteria that somebody has. It's also going to show me like the quote unquote bad bacteria. So to answer your question of like what somebody needs, I mean, for most people, like kind of your typical standard probiotic out there is probably going to be fine. For someone who's struggling with any of the things I've talked about in the last 30 minutes, you likely need something different. And so, for example, this client where we were talking about this is um, his stool test came back with really low levels of a couple of really important bacteria strains. And so I would recommend something totally different for him. So again, like if you're struggling with any of those like major things, like
Mm-hmm.
get a test, work with a qualified health professional, if not me, someone else. But really, there are many, many reasons why someone might need a specific strain of bacteria, a probiotic versus
Mm-hmm.
just a general one. So yeah, test, don't guess is what I say. Um, and just to kind of answer your question, so a probiotic is that live bacteria. Those are the bugs, the good bugs, and a prebiotic is the food that they eat.
Mm,
So that
awesome.
that comes in the form of fiber,
Okay.
plants, and
Okay.
not Metamucil. Like, let me be clear.
I was going to say, what about the fiber gummies that I take? No, not
I
cutting
mean,
it.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the ingredients. They might be fine, but like I'm a nutritionist. So first and foremost, like get it through food, and it's always best through food. That is definitely what we
And what are
know.
some of the highest fiber foods we should be remembering here?
Oh, we could start with things like apples and onions and garlic, which people don't really think of those as like high fiber, but like
No.
they're a great prebiotic. They feed the good bugs, the onions and garlic. But then yeah, fiber, think of like apples, asparagus, avocado. I'm sort of like going alphabetically. Berries. Um, those are some of like the really high artichoke. Also,
Mm-hmm.
these aren't necessarily things that people eat every day, but they're really good prebiotics. Almost every whole fruit, whole vegetable, whole grain, right, is a good source of fiber, but some of them are just higher than others. So yeah, like if I could give one piece of advice, how to improve somebody's diet, it'd be to include, think of what you eat on a daily basis and think of how you can include either a fruit or a vegetable with one more. Maybe you already eat one, but like, how could you incorporate one more into every meal?
Got it.
That's what I would say.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're just about
You're
out of time
welcome.
and wanted to remind everyone how we can contact you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill.
Same here. So wholeessentialsnutrition.com, that's the best route.
Yes.
Perfect. And good to see you today. It was fun to do our first Zoom, and hopefully we'll
It
do
was
another
fun.
one again. Thank you for being here, and thanks for all the information and the update on the program that you have. And guys, don't forget to check her out. Tell her that we sent you, Jill personally. All right, Emilie Davis. Thanks again for everything.
Thank you.
You
See
have a
you next
great
time.
day. You got it. Bye bye. And to all of our listeners, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.